And we are back on another episode of the Dirty and Driven podcast. Coming at you live from YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you find podcasts. My name is James Deviney, and I am your host. This is the show where we gain, train, and retain solid, hard-working, blue-collar people to the industry. Our goal is to bring people to the industry and teach them how to kick ass. I'm joined today by my award-winning co-host, Mr. Casey D.
How are you?
We are recording on a fine Saturday morning, kind of early. This is the earliest we've recorded in a while. What says you, Casey?
I enjoy doing it this time of the day, these days, on the weekend. A lot better than at the end of the day. Feel like I'm full of piss and vinegar right now. So,
You feel
and full of that chocolate milk and that boudin roll and that cake donut double chocolate.
full of piss, vinegar, donuts, Rockstar Energy, Element,
Yeah.
boudin.
Got that shit lined up. I got a couple kolaches right here, jalapeno kolaches. And I got another donut there too. Just teasing James, but James is trying to be, I'm strong, fucking training for another fucking. I don't put that garbage in my system, man. You fucking. All I hear is just white noise when you start talking.
I think that's most people, honestly. It's like I've always made the joke that my voice is just white noise in the background of people's radios. That I had that joke before I was a podcaster. Now it's for real.
Better than that brown noise we talked about. People would be shitting themselves if they're listening to you.
The old brown note.
Brown noise.
The old brown note.
I'm paying attention to you here, but I was trying to find something, but saw a video just the other day, and war is hell. I've never been in war. That's my disclosure. But man, the old Israeli-Hamas issue going on there in the Gaza Strip.
Be honest with you, dude. I know that it's going on, and I have not. That's the first probably major global event that I've ever just said, you know what? I don't fucking care.
Okay. Well, whether you care or not, from what I see, war is hell. Never experienced it. That's my disclosure, right? Mm-hmm. So, but now with today's day and age and technology and stuff, there's video and stuff out there. A lot of real time stuff. You could probably even watch it live. Well, this one video is an encampment or something inside the Gaza Strip. So right now, Israel is bombing the hell out of the Gaza Strip, which has a ton of Palestinians that are there, but also the Hamas. That's like the terrorist organization that's against the Israelis.
Now, the Hamas Strip or the Gaza Strip, is that similar to the Las Vegas Strip?
Yeah, I mean that's where everybody goes to gamble, and a lot of debauchery goes on there and stuff. That's usually like
actually, I legit don't know.
No, dude. My geopolitics back in 1947 after World War II, a lot of the Jews went back supposedly to their original homeland in Israel, and they pushed a lot of the Palestinians out. But when they pushed the Palestinians out, they gave some of them the West Bank area, and then some of them the Gaza Strip. The Gaza Strip is only 6 miles wide and 30 miles long. It's just a little sliver of land there in Israel. Well, I don't know if you heard, but about a month ago, those guys went parasailing or whatever, and they went across the border, the Hamas terrorist guys, and they just shot up a bunch of people at a party.
Oh,
Met thousands of people. You didn't hear anything about this?
No, dude. Whenever I say that I've had my head in a hole, I've had my head in a hole.
Well, anyway, the Mossad, the supposedly like smartest intelligence organization in the world, aside from the United States, somehow they missed knowing that these terrorist guys were coming across the Gaza Strip into Israel, right? And I mean, they kidnapped a bunch of people, they killed women, children, all this stuff. It's all over. Well, that gave Israel just reason to go in and bomb the hell out of the West Bank, right? False flag? Did Israel know about it beforehand? I don't know. But anyway, this video that I saw was there's these Hamas people that are inside their encampment there, And I guess there's this silent missile, like Hellfire missile, that comes off of one of our drones. And, you know, we supply a lot of equipment to the Israelis. Well, this drone's flying above, and it picks out its target, and it has this bomb come down, or it's a missile that comes down. And the missile has no warhead on it whatsoever. But right before the missile hits the ground, it has 6 blades it's a 3-meter radius. So it's whatever it is, 6-meter diameter. 6 blades come out while it's turning down. And whatever it hits, it pretty much just does the old Ginsu knife too and just cuts up, boom, you know, from the impact.
Yeah.
All you do is, on this video, you see these guys hanging out. Then you hear this missile come in. And dude, right once it hits, you hear the and by the time they get the video to what's going on outside, there's this one dude laying on the ground, blood pouring out of his leg, and his foot's sitting over here. He got Ginsu'd up pretty good, and there was other people that got Ginsu'd up. Man, it was something else, man.
Yeah, I really haven't kept tabs on that too much. I know it's been a bad deal over there. That's about all I know. I just, you know, after the whole, and I don't want to talk politics too long, but I mean, I know it's, but like what you're saying, war is hell, yeah. So, but like, you know, after the whole like Russia-Ukraine thing, it just desensitizes you to this bullshit.
And that might be by design.
And I think it is. And after the COVID stuff, and after the George Floyd stuff, and after the Russia-Ukraine stuff, and after now you got this, and it's like, we live in an eternal state of conflict, is what they're trying to push on us, is what I've gathered. And I just don't care to consume it anymore. I mean, it stresses you out and you go, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then, you know, it's always 6-8 months later, it's like, oh, well, COVID wasn't actually as bad as they said it was. And there was all this stuff that you could have done. And Russia-Ukraine wasn't actually as big of a deal as they were making it look like on the news and stuff. And it's just now it's just money laundering fronts, right? And I truly hate the fact that we spend so much time and energy watching this stuff. Like, because what's real and what's not? I mean, I know that it's great ratings for TV, and I know that it's great for that stuff. But what I hate is the division it causes of everybody that's like, we have to pick a side. Are we for Israel or are we for Palestine? And it's like, dude.
Yeah, I have to tune in every day to see which flag I'm supposed to fly, you know.
Yeah.
And put it in my bio.
Well, right. And it's like, dude, you didn't even know anything about these countries before this happened. And now all of a sudden you're an expert. And it's like, you know, and if you don't support one, but you support the other, it's like, dude, how about we just have a healthy respect for the situation that's going on in case it might involve us? But we don't have to pick sides. We don't have to send billions of dollars whenever there's people fucking starving in our own country. I mean, that's what pisses me off. They send all this money over, but it's like Hawaii just burnt to a crisp and they gave everybody $700.
Yeah. And plus the money that's sent supposedly over to Ukraine or Israel, by the time the money actually gets to where it's supposed to go, people have gotten their grubby little sticky fingers on it and stuff, that it's a minute amount compared to the whole. Here, watch this.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, man.
Watch.
Well, here, let's put on the... Yeah, and you truly hope that that's not a hospital for real.
Oh, yeah. So there you go. That's another deal too.
Yeah.
Well, what do you know? What's truth? What's not?
Well, again,
but I think if they were at a hospital, I think the guy's leg was, about 5 foot away from him. I think if they, get an ice chest full of ice and put that leg on ice, they might be able to reattach it.
You would hope so, right? Yeah, I mean, you hope that that's not a hospital. Like, you see that, but again, you see so much fake shit. It's like, oh, they bombed an orphanage. They bombed a hospital. It's stuff that's against Geneva Convention rules, stuff like that. But then again, months later, you see stuff and it's like, yeah, that wasn't actually a hospital. That wasn't actually an orphanage. Or that was a clip from a movie from 1995. Like, you know, stuff like that. And it's just, what do you believe and what do you not? And that's what pisses me off. Like during the Russia-Ukraine stuff, there was so much stuff that just came out to be just, it was literally, there was movie clips that they were using in the news or they had showed that clip in the news 10 years before in another conflict.
The Call of Duty Modern Warfare footage from games, you know, showing shit like that.
It's just, it's absurd. And that's why I haven't kept up with that stuff. Cause
I want to get you fired, man. See, I got the old blood boiling now.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, and another thing, man, is you're talking about war as hell. Do you know how many motherfuckers I've got, and it's people who listen to the show too, and people who follow us, and I've had these conversations literally in the DMs. People are like, "Oh man, the world's ending, and we're gonna go to war, and we're gonna like come here, man, fuck with me, let's go, don't tread on me," you know, like that whole thing. Dude, have you ever? Let me ask you this: Have you ever boxed somebody? Have you ever like physically fought somebody?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a legit fight. Like you know, not just wrestling with your buddies, but like a
dude. Yeah. I've gotten jumped several times. I've gotten my ass kicked before. Yes, I fucking know what fighting is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it is the most physically exhausting thing.
Well, yeah, especially when the old adrenaline's pumping, you don't know how to contain yourself. Yeah, it's especially, I mean, when you get jumped too. I've been jumped several times.
Several times?
Several times. 3 times.
I'm gonna circle back to that. But dude, fighting is the most physically exhausting thing I've ever done. All right. I mean, it's harder than, you know, marathons, it's harder than triathlons, it's harder than any of that. Whenever you're in a ring, like just a ring, like a controlled fight even, to get in a boxing ring for 60 seconds and see how winded you get.
Yeah, but get into a fight where you're not expecting to get into a fight, then see how winded you are. At least you're being prepared if you're getting into a boxing ring. You kind of know what's coming.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But when you go from 0 to hanging out at a party or somewhere when nothing to bam, it's just like that. You're talking about adrenaline dump in that short amount of time, man. It's something else. But yeah, dude. Oh, fuck. Dang, dude, I feel like I'm being interrogated now.
We are in the studio for the listeners and not the watchers. We're obviously having some.
James is back there
we're trying to figure out our lighting. I think it's good enough now.
James is turning the light in and stuff. I can't focus now. He's bringing in the fluffer.
Yeah. So. No. But like my point is like in a boxing ring, you're expecting it and it's controlled.
You missed it. You know what a fluffer is?
No.
A fluffer is what gets the adult men prepared before they shoot the scenes in the action movies.
What? Action movies?
Well, if you want to call them that.
Why do you know so much about before porn movies start?
I was talking about an action movie. Dude, if you haven't heard what a fluffer is, man, come on, man. You've been living in a cave.
I do live in a cave. I distance myself from a lot of things.
Yeah.
But anyways, dude. But yeah, that's my point, right? Like, you're saying, yeah, dude, be in a ring, that's exhausting. Now get jumped. Yeah, I mean, because in a boxing ring, you've got headgear on, you've got gloves on. Now that might make you a little more winded because of the weight, but you're also not taking as hard of punches. They still hurt a lot. But if you just if you're one of those people that's like, oh yeah, you know, come after me, dude, you better just go try that. Just go try to have a physical altercation with somebody and see how long you last before you are just absolutely winded. I mean, seriously, I get so tired of people being like, oh yeah, when this happens, when that happens, they're stockpiling ammo and they're prepping and all that, which is great. I mean, I think that you should have a good amount of ammo, food, water, all that stuff in case anything happens, because you just don't know what could happen. But you also have to train for that, right? Just like you have to train in the construction industry to be good at what you want to do. If you're not training with your firearm, if you're not training with your martial arts, if you're not healthy, like I see a lot of fat fucks out here like, oh man, we're going to come, war's coming, it's coming to us, and we're going to fight. And it's like, what are you going to do, man? Bounce the bullets off your stomach back to them? I mean, you're not going to last long in war, dude, because are in pitiful shape, and it is a physical thing. And again, I've not been in war either, but just talking to people, they're like, dude, it's physically hard.
See, I've been jumped a few times.
Yeah, let's hear that.
Well, one night my buddy and I went to Taco Bell. This is back in 94, 95. Believe it or not, we weren't drinking. Went out to the lake. We're at the sailboat side. Just had our Taco Bell hanging out. And when we pulled into our regular little hangout spot at the lake, we noticed a group of thugs that normally wouldn't be hanging out at the lake were there. And
thugs, huh?
Yeah, I'll describe them as thugs. They were wearing blue bandanas. And while we're hanging out, we're like, hey, this doesn't look right. And the older people that we're kind of hanging out with, they're like, oh, dude, everything's cool. Well, needless to say, it wasn't cool. And one of them dudes ran up behind me.
But it was, in fact, not cool.
Yeah, one of them dudes, there was probably about 12 or 15 of them. One of them dudes ran up behind me. They picked me out of the bunch because I was one of the bigger, I wasn't my size now, but I was one of the bigger dudes back then. They hit me in the back of the head. I still remember that they ran up behind me and they said, fucker. I still remember hearing fucker out of my left ear when they hit me behind, and 2 or 3 grabbed me. They all started punching on me and stuff. I'm seeing white, and I'm kind of just shelling up, trying to wait for everything to get past. Well, when I finally realized what's going on, 2 or 3 of them had separated from me, and there's this one guy that was like punching me in the face. I had my arms extended, and once I realized what was going on, I finally put my hand behind his head, hit him in the jaw, dude, and he went, dude, I hadn't even punched anybody in my whole life, but you know, I can jab or punch. And he hit the ground. I was like, oh shit. And he started to come up after me again. Then he fell back down again. You know, it was one of them delayed responses. And then those 2 or 3 thugs, they look at him, then they look at me, and they started chasing me. And here I am wearing my little penny loafer shoes. You know what I mean? My little church shoes with no socks. So I start to run, dude, and I'm pretty fast. This is back, you know, high school shape. And I'm running away from these guys. Well, this one dude, short, pudgy dude, he was a little faster than me. I mean, them thugs got some speed, man. And he almost caught me, so I turned around and I did a juke move. I tried to juke a thug, man. And right when I juked, I did the old right, left, right. And dude, he bit on it and he slipped and fell. And I was like, hell yeah. So I ran away. Anyway, one of my buddies got beat up pretty good. And here's a cool little story with that whole deal. I know I want to. You find out who your true friends are when shit goes down. And my buddy Clay, I think I might have mentioned to him before. Yeah, you've talked Clay and I are still the tightest friends, and a lot of that goes back to that day because we were definitely outnumbered during that whole deal. And when it was all said and done, him and my buddy Mark were the only ones. And dude, we had some big old dudes that probably could have done some damage. And when it was all said and done, Clay was jacked up. I was hurt a little bit. And when I went to the bigger dudes after it all happened, I said, hey, dude. They're like, yo, Anderson, man, what happened? And I was like, we just got jumped. What were you doing? I was over there talking to so-and-so, man, at his car. And by the time I turned around, it was all over with, man. Okay. So then another guy that I played ball with in high school, I said, hey, man, where were you at? I was going to my car to get a baseball bat, dude. And by the time I got to my car and came back, everybody was gone. Okay. So then I talked to another dude that I thought was my friend. I said, hey, dude, where were you at? Dude, the girls. I was protecting the girls, man. We had to make sure that all the women, the girls that were there, we had to get them out of the situation, man. I was making sure, are you okay, dude? So everybody had their own, you know, excuses and shit. And I found out who my true buddies are. And those guys are still my buddies to this day, man.
Why did you get jumped?
So it was a targeting deal.
Was there drugs or women involved?
It was neither or. So the cops got involved. I ended up taking my buddy Clay to the hospital, man, because they were thinking that he had been hit like with a baseball or something on his cheekbone out here. Because his cheekbone, it looked like a golf ball was underneath his cheekbone. It was way the hell out here, and he had to be concussed. And while he was down, like they had grabbed his arm behind his back, and they were kicking his arm, so his collarbone's still jacked up to this day because of it. when we went to the hospital, the police had gotten called. They came in and we gave the description, and the police said a lot of these thugs that wear blue bandanas had come down from Kansas and stuff, and that was part of like an initiation, like getting guys into the club. All right, man, this is what we're going to do tonight. You want to be part of the club? Huh? You want to be part of the club? That was it. So it was a thug initiation.
They had to go jump some guys.
Yeah.
Huh.
And another time was down in Norman when I went to OU, hanging out, and I told my buddy Mark, it was my buddy Mark, and then right when he left, we had a good time that night. I said, dude, if you ever need anything, man, I'm here for you. Well, sure enough, 2 minutes later, he ran up the stairs, knocked on the, he said, dude, come down right now. And when I ran down the stairs, there was probably 5, 6, 7 guys, and it wasn't so much of a me getting jumped, but it was a getting in on the action deal.
He didn't give you any pretense of like, dude, I need you, and I need you to fight now. Let's go.
But you could tell by the look in his eyes something was going on.
Something was, huh.
But you could be a lot of them internet warrior guys like you're talking about, and you might not have to train ever in your life for war or for fighting, but all you see is red, man. All I see is red, dude, and I just go.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of people like that. And there's a lot of people that were in war at one point, were fighting, but
I was just kidding about the all I see is red. I mean, dude, if you've never trained,
yeah,
just because you see red doesn't mean you're gonna be able to stand up to.
Well, yeah, you get a lot of these guys, and the worst ones are the Call of Duty guys, right? That they've never been to war, they've never trained. Now the guys that train and the guys that do that stuff, sure, all right, you want to talk about that, great. Like I'm a guy that, like, if it comes to our soil, I'm willing to fight, man. I'm not willing to go to fucking Russia or Israel or some shit like that for these conflicts. I'm just not. I'm not going to do it. It's stupid. But
so can you imagine then if the draft came about?
Yeah,
your prime age, buddy. You've been working out, doing your little marathons and stuff.
I wouldn't fucking go. I'd be like Muhammad Ali in this bitch.
Yeah, there you go. Change your name to Cassius.
Yeah. Call me Cassius. No, dude, because it's senseless, right? I mean, there's certain wars that have happened, and you're like, at least from what history tells us, I wasn't alive back then, but you go, yeah, I mean, it was your duty, you had to do it, but stuff like this under current administration, no, I don't want to fight.
And so imagine this feeling that you're having right now, which I do too. Imagine that going back during the Vietnam era.
Yeah, and that's where I love talking to people from that era. Because people who went and fought in Vietnam are still proud of the fact that I'm a Vietnam vet. Because it was hard. It was a hard war.
A lot of them are, but a lot of them too, proud or not, they didn't like the pretenses for going to war, you know?
Well, especially the ones, and there's a big attitude difference between the ones that were drafted and the ones that enlisted.
Yeah.
There's a big difference there in their attitudes, and you talk to them, and the ones that were drafted, most of them are not I'm proud Vietnam. Most of them are just like, they might mention, back in Vietnam at one point, right? But the ones that actually enlisted, they have a sense of pride about it. But it's, you look back and you're like, dang, you can dive down the conspiracy rabbit holes and all that. But yeah, it's kind of a crazy deal.
Well, when it came out also 10 years ago that they declassified that information, that our whole pretense for getting into there was a false flag.
Yeah, and it's just stuff like that, and that's the unfortunate thing, man. I mean, that's the unfortunate thing is that people have gone to war and lost friends and been petrified for life for things that has nothing to do with us. So
that's a lot of the talk. That's where I go back with the Mossad being the smartest intelligence agency in the world. They probably knew what was happening across the border. That's where all the conspiracy is going now. They needed something to happen, and it could have been created by them or allowed by them to give them a reason to go to war in the West Bank.
Yeah.
Or the Gaza Strip, not the West Bank.
Yeah. And just on our note too, like, if war came here or there was true threat of it coming here, yeah, dude, I'd dig in and fight, right? I'd be down, but I just got to say, like, if you're one of those people that you are, prepping and you do stockpile ammo and you do stockpile your food and water and you've got you've got all this stuff and you're ready to go, you better be training to some extent, because if that comes over, you're not going to be fighting a bunch of rednecks and stuff. You're fighting trained militaries.
And you'll have to train all aspects too, not just being able to shoot a gun, but to take care, find your own water, find your own food, be able to cook that, boil shit. I mean, it's not just one aspect; it's the whole lifestyle. Should shit go south?
Yeah, and it's good to have, right? And it's good to have like a general prep for what if there's a natural disaster, right? I mean, a tornado rips through here, like, and now you've got food, you've got water, your house is totaled, but you've got food, water, you know, maybe you still got, you know, a gun and ammo in case everybody else goes just freaking feral after a big natural disaster. What if the power goes out? I mean, that's a realistic situation where the power could go out for several weeks and people start getting desperate. And they're gonna do what it takes, right? So
yeah, because you can't imagine when it comes down. Well, imagine the fucking toilet paper scare and stuff. You know, go do that exponentially, man. But when it comes down to it, you want to take care of yourself and your family. And if shit goes south, and those neighbors over there, they don't have any guns and shit, and I need food, and I know that they got food, and they were my neighbors at one time. I got to feed my family.
Yeah. Well, or people might be trying to rob you. They might think the same thing. And you've got to be prepared for that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, if I was in a house with a Navy, like a guy that let's say he's an ex-Navy SEAL or something, and he said, you know, he's just trying to provide for his family in a bad situation, I don't stand a chance because I have not trained. I mean, yeah, sure. If I got him just right and shot him, yeah, maybe. But this dude probably knows what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? But also, if you're in a situation where you're just trying to move and, you know, you've got to be physically fit to move or go somewhere or do something, and you're not there, man. You're not going to last long. So it's important, you know. I think that that's why. But this relates to what we talk about all the time with construction training, all that. Like, if you want the best for your company, you've got to look several years down the road, and you've got to ask yourself these hard questions. What is going to happen whenever my guys retire? What is going to happen when these things happen? I need to train my younger guys on these hard skills right now.
Nice tie-in.
Yeah, how about that tie-in? Well, no, we've got to talk construction at some point. We're 30 minutes in.
No, I get it, but that's a good point. You can't expect to be good at anything if you don't do the reps.
Yes,
and they tell you, like whether it's in sports or also in the military, you want to train harder than whenever the fight does happen. That way, it's just second nature. The fight is, I'm assuming, at war, but the fight is normally the easy part because you put yourself through all the reps of shittiness in training.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to do it, and you got to train harder. And I say that for mental health and physical health. I think that you've got to train yourself. If you deal with things like depression, you deal with things like some of the stuff we talk about, just mental health issues. Like, you've got to train that as well, and you've got to train your mindset. So it's anything that you want to do and anything you want to accomplish. If you're one of those guys that you're begging for war to come to our country, because some guys literally want that to happen. Like, that is their wet dream. But if you're one of those guys, you better be prepping, man. You better be, and not just prepping materials and supplies, because you can have a stockpile of ammo, but if you are out of shape and you get into one physical altercation, you get your ass handed to you and you get killed or kidnapped or something, all that shit is for nothing. And there's a story in the Bible about this. There's a guy that Jesus tells a parable about a guy that he stores up all this stuff, right? He's prepping. He's like we have to store all this grain in case we ever have famine. We've got to store it all up. And I'm paraphrasing, but he goes and stockpiles all this grain. He goes and stockpiles all this stuff into this silo. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to be ready whenever anything happens. Well, then a famine did happen, and this guy dies immediately. So all this stuff, this grain and stuff that he'd stockpiled his whole life, and his family was like, dude, can we just eat some of the grain? He's like, no, we got to have it just in case anything ever happens. As soon as it happened, he died. So if you're letting this just obsess over you too, it's like, dude, you need to be learning some physical skills and training yourself and utilizing these resources so you know how to use them. Because, I mean, chances are you might spend your whole life obsessing over all this shit that maybe matters, maybe doesn't. At the end of the day, it probably doesn't. And then you're going to die immediately. And it's like,
Dude, that's the same way I look at saving for a future, man. Look at this. You just talked about that guy, whoever he is, Mike, that prepped grain for however long, and by the time, and he never.
Old Mike in the Bible.
Well,
Sorry.
it's Mike. It's Mike to me. Okay.
Yeah.
Mike prepped the whole time, never touched that grain. They might have went with that because you never know. One day that grain might be useful, but not today. Not today. Not. And then when it came down to it, he never touched that grain, and he was never actually never able to use that grain. Right. That's the same with savings and stuff. Save for your future. Save for your future. Yeah, I'm putting back for my future, but shit, you don't know if you're going to die tomorrow, in a week, or in 50 years, man. And there's so many people that have put back savings for retirement and then by the time the day that they retire of retirement age, they die the next day. And they weren't able to enjoy maybe stuff that they could have enjoyed in life a lot earlier.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, I think that it's important to learn. I mean, you've got to learn how to save to achieve some of your material or travel goals, stuff like that. I believe that that's important. I believe it is important to have enough money in case something happens. I believe that you should have a small amount. I've got food, I've got water, I've got ammo if something happens and I need a little bit to last me for some time. But I don't have a closet, a basement, a bunker full of that shit, right? I have money in my savings account, but most of it is to save for things, save for travel, save for adventure, save for stuff, save for college for a kid or something, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, but I'm not one of those guys that's like just tighter than a freaking nun's ass pipe trying to, sorry, that face you gave me, tighter than a nun's ass pipe trying to, you know, be like, just have all this money when I retire. Like, what's that joke that I can't remember, probably Dave Ramsey or somebody says it, you know, there's a couple who they dreamed of going to Italy, and finally one day when they retired at 65 years old, they finally decided we're going to Italy, and then they fell asleep on the plane. Right? I mean, yeah. You want to do this stuff while you're young and in shape and have the energy to do this stuff. So I definitely agree that there's a fine line, and having your money in tangible assets, because you don't know what's going to happen to the dollar tomorrow too. You might spend your whole life saving up, and although like you're talking about old Mike, you know, Mike died before he had a chance to do it. And you see that happen all the time. People retire, and within 3 to 5 years they're gone. And it's like, shit, man. What was the point of saving all that up? Just so you could have spend it all on medical bills, and now your family's in bigger debt? No, I mean, but even if you don't die with all that money or all that whatever you're talking about, it might become worthless. You know, that grain could have become all moldy and gross. Your money, the stock market could totally crash, and the dollar become worthless. We could get invaded, and all of a sudden the dollar's not even a thing anymore, right? Anything could happen in that scenario. So that you have to tread the line. You have to be smart. You don't want to get yourself head over heels in debt. All right. I don't believe in debt. I don't like debt. If
that's real.
Well, it's real.
But you said you don't believe in it, dude. It's real. I don't know what.
I don't believe in accumulating big amounts of debt.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I thought you were saying you don't believe in like the definition of debt and what it is. It's real, James.
You're right. It's real. Debt is
If you want
real.
to know what debt is, I want you to look at my portfolio. You'll know what debt is. It's got a lot of red numbers in it.
Yes. No, I mean, I don't like doing that. I don't like hemorrhaging debt. I don't like being head over heels in debt. I don't like to see people get head over heels in debt. And in fact, in the near future, I'm hoping to have my financial advisor come on and speak about that, because a lot of guys in our industry get buried in debt. And that's why, like the other day, I talked about generational poverty. People get buried in debt, and then they can't pay it off. And then all that debt gets passed on to their kids, and it's just a whole revolving vicious cycle, right? I think you should get out of debt if you can. And everybody can, not immediately, but everybody can work towards getting out of debt to where at least, yes, you should spend your money. You should go do cool things. You should gain cool experiences. But you should also be putting your money, instead of a depreciating car or a house that you really can't afford, you should be putting your money into hard skills. All right? There's nothing wrong with putting your money into training for coaches, training for events, training for just some of these skills, like a shooting course.
Invest in yourself.
Yeah.
And you were talking about prepping earlier. I wrote down a little don't know if it's a slogan, but you can prep, right? But if you ain't putting in the reps, I got all the bullets and I got all the guns and stuff. And then one of these days, you can have all the bullets and guns, but if you ain't out there sighting in your rifles and shit and putting the rounds down the old lane, man, you ain't getting in your reps. All you're doing is just prep. And so you got to prep and you got to rep. You like that? Prep and rep?
Yeah, I like that. Well, think about, I like to do endurance challenges, right? So I think about my marathon I ran last year and the one that I'm going to run again this upcoming year. I can prep all I want for it. I can have the food in my little pouch, that I run with, or my pockets. I can have the right food to fuel my body. I can have the right shoes. I can have the most comfortable clothes. I can have the best socks. I can show up to the marathon prepped, ready to go, but I haven't ran more than like 5 miles at once. And odds are I'm not going to be able to finish that marathon. I'm not going to be able to do it. I feel like a preacher right now. I feel like I'm in a Baptist church. Like,
no, that's... No, you're making a good point.
I feel like one of those analogies they use where they're like, and I just want you to understand. But yeah, it's exactly that, man. You can show up and it's just like, yeah, I've got all the equipment. I've got all the gear. I've got all the nice stuff. But at the end of the day, I can run 5 miles of this, but maybe I can do 10. Maybe I can get to 15. Maybe I got to walk some. Maybe I can get through it, but it's ugly and I'm getting my ass kicked by everybody else in this marathon, but I'm probably going to end up hurting myself and not finishing.
Yeah. Another way to look at that too is you can prep by reading a bunch of manuals and looking at diagrams and computer-based training and all that stuff. But if you ain't putting that into real life experiences in the field with what you're prepping for, getting in your reps is what I mean. It's one thing, like you say in the classroom, but if you ain't putting in the reps in the field, then it's not balancing things out.
Yeah, and you got to have both, right? So I put my rally cap on.
I like it.
Yeah. Let's just take an equipment operator, for example, or somebody that needs a skilled trade like an electrician or a plumber or something like that. Okay, you got to have some time in the classroom. Maybe. I mean, everybody, whenever you talk about equipment operation training, a common response I get is, well, how do you train an equipment operator? They just need time in the seat. You just get that from experience. It's like, yeah, but you can prep them for that experience. Before they even get into the seat, you can sit down and you can say, all right, here's what all the buttons are supposed to mean. Here's what they do. Here's the general application of what we use this piece of equipment for. You can give them some general knowledge. And then it's, all right, now you kind of know how it is. Go just dig in a pile. Like, let's just say you're in an excavator. Go just dig in a pile, figure out the sticks, the buttons yourself. You can give them a little prep, a little safety training, a little, hey, don't do this because you're probably going to hurt yourself, or flip the machine or something. Give them the baselines. They start digging. Okay. And then as they get more and more comfortable in that machine, they're going to get better at it. But they can have guidance and coaching along the ways. It's a fine line. I can go out the same way. I can buy all the ammo. I can go out and shoot my pistol all the time, but I may not be the most efficient at it. But if I have somebody sitting there walking me through it on, hey, here, you can do this better. You can do that better. Here's some drills we can run through that's going to make you better. It's the same way, all right, buddy, let's get you in the excavator. Let's just start you out, get you loading some trucks. Oh, okay. Hey, you can load the trucks faster if you do it this way, or if you have the trucks pull in here. Like, there's a lot of little things that you learn, and you learn it just from experience. I mean, you learn how to dig and not hit a water line after you've hit a water line. But yeah, it's just, I don't know how we made a whole topic on prepping today, but it's fun. I like this topic.
Well, it is. I mean, this is our topic for today.
Yeah.
Prepping and repping.
Prepping and repping.
Be sure before you dig, call 811.
Yes.
Locate them utilities.
What's really weird is one time I called 811 and I was in Missouri, but I was trying to call it for Oklahoma. I was on a trip, and if you call 811, because their website was down, I was trying to call 811, but it just kept, they were like, well, sorry, sir, you're not in Oklahoma, so you can't use this line for that. And they wouldn't transfer me. And I was like, well, this is just not working at all.
Wasn't it like in the early 90s that Public Enemy had a song about that 811 is a joke?
Did they?
I think so. Like Flavor Flav. You remember Flavor Flav?
Dude, did you see Flava Flav sing the national anthem at like a basketball game the other day?
Did he really?
Oh, dude.
Was he wearing the clock?
Was he wearing the what?
The clock.
The clock.
Around his neck. You sure it was Flavor Flav?
I didn't see the video, but one of my favorite podcasts was playing it. Oh, it was Flava Flav.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy.
It was 911 is a joke, not 811 is a joke.
Oh.
I figured you'd have got that one, Benny. I dialed 911 a long time ago.
That's funny. No, I never listened to Public Enemy that much.
Oh, man. Chuck D, Flavor Flav.
Chuck D. Casey D.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, here he is, man. Oh, that's a bad video. Yikes, that's a bad video. I don't know. I'll show you after the show. Look it up, though. It's funny.
You should have played, dude. That was the perfect time to play it.
No, the video was, the quality was like, it was somebody in like the nosebleeds trying to film with their phone, and it was not good.
I can imagine it being about the same as whenever Roseanne Barr sang the national anthem at the baseball game. Did you ever see that?
I vaguely remember that, but not very well.
Yeah, everybody got pretty much up in arms because she disrespected the national anthem. I mean, she sang it, but, you know, not really trying to sing it good. And at the end, she grabbed her crotch and spit on the ground like baseball players do.
Yikes.
Yeah. You know, comedic gold, but not when you're super patriotic, you know.
I think my favorite national anthem still to this day was Fergie at the Super Bowl. Do you remember that one? Mm-mm. That one was bad.
But I do know that.
Oh, it was bad.
I do know that Fergie's had issues before whenever she's been at concerts and not making it to the restroom in time. There's videos out there of her not holding her bladder.
You know, I've heard a lot of artists have done that in the past.
Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe it's a new thing.
I've heard a lot of artists talk about that because, like, I was listening to an interview with a musician. I cannot remember who it was. And they're like, so what happens if you have to go to the bathroom on stage? And they're like, well, hopefully we can, you know, the band can kind of stall long enough. But they're like, sometimes you just
let her go.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if you can't stop the show or, you know, whatever the deal may be. And I'm sure that's probably mainly for your artists that drink.
Yeah. Yeah, it probably had to be just like if you're taking a road trip somewhere, you know, not to be like me and drink a fucking chocolate milk and a rock star and now I'm on my element and I got another water. You don't want to drink all this right before you take a road trip because you know you're probably going to have to piss every
My
5,
toxic
10, or 15.
trait is I do that.
Huh?
That is my toxic trait is that I literally will drink a cup of coffee and a big ass water and maybe some electrolytes right before getting in the car.
But you know the best thing to do is not drink a ton because then you're going to have to stop every 15 minutes to pull over and piss, right? That's the same with your concerts. Yep. It's probably smart not to, you know, to settle down, hour and a half, 2 hours performance. Then you can throw down.
Yeah. But I mean, some people just have substance abuse issues.
So that's prepping. So that's prepping before you go on a road trip or before you do a concert. You're preparing yourself to hopefully not have to have a restroom break.
Hopefully. I'm really bad about
And if you do that enough, then you'll know your body. So if you do it over time, then you're getting in your reps, knowing, okay, this is how much water I can drink before I take a trip. You're getting your reps in and you know your tolerance.
I've peed in a lot of bottles on road trips.
With this size mouth right here?
No, I usually try to get like the big bottles.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I can't say.
Okay.
Well, I like to have a big bottle so that way I can make sure I have enough because I drink a lot of stuff.
Is that getting there?
Well,
or there?
Yeah, there you go.
Damn, son. This is sufficient for me right here. Just size for the pee hole.
Yep. In fact, you usually just poke a little hole in the lid, huh? Shit, man, we got derailed there.
I ain't derailed.
No, but dude, look at Flava Flav's national anthem. It's pretty hilarious.
Wasn't he married to Bridget Nielsen at one time?
Dude, I don't know anything about Flava Flav.
Do you know who Bridget Nielsen is?
Nope.
She was married to Sylvester Stallone at one time, I think.
I don't keep up with that stuff.
They were dating.
Yesterday, as a joke, somebody we're at a football game and somebody sent a picture of me and Victoria to us, and they're like sniped, like they saw us, and they sent it in our group chat. And the joke was, "Is that Kurt Cobain?" And I was like, "What's Kurt Cobain's wife's name?"
Courtney Love.
Courtney Love. I had to Google it. See, I don't keep up with that stuff. But the joke was like, "Is that Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love?" Which worked.
Yeah. I can see it.
Well, the other day, one of my friend's parents told me, they're like, "I know who you look like." I was like, "What?" Like, "You look like Kurt Cobain." I said, "You know what? I'll take that. I'll take that."
Bridget Nielsen, did you ever see Rocky IV?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She was the Russian's wife in Rocky IV, that tall. She's like 6'2", blonde.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Real tall.
Yeah.
Well, I think her and Flavor Flav had either dated or got married at one time. Plus, she had dated Dolph Lundgren back in the day, too. I found that out with the Dolph Lundgren interview the other day.
Interesting.
Dolph was the big Russian boxer.
Oh, okay. That was a great movie, man.
Dude, he's a stud. He's like a legit kickboxer and all types of shit. He's from Sweden, I think.
From where?
Sweden.
Sweden.
But you know how they say it.
Yeah.
With a V.
I've always wanted to go to Sweden. Be cool.
Yeah. I couldn't find it on a map. Isn't it up kind of around Canada somewhere?
Yeah.
between Canada and Alaska?
I think it's actually connected to Canada, yeah.
the land bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, the land bridge. It is the land bridge. It connects Alaska and Russia.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always been good at is geography. I mean, knowing places like that.
You mean geology? Or geometry?
I said geography.
So math?
Map. I'm good at maps. Locations on maps.
That's geometry.
Isn't geometry like numbers and with little angles and shit?
Yeah, that's numbers and shapes.
Yeah, I said angles. Angles is kind of a shape. And Angles Angles was the name of that gay bar that we went to that I told you about, where it was silver beer nights. No, dude, I got a $20 beer. I got $20 bill here. I just want a Coors Light. I'm sorry, it's silver beer nights, dude. I'm giving you a $20 bill for a long neck silver bullet. Now it's silver, so it's either dimes, nickels, or quarters, or half dollars, or silver dollars.
Can you give me change?
That wouldn't take a $20 bill for a beer.
Gosh, dude. Okay, let's put a bow on this episode and wrap it up, man. So,
remember when we talked about imposter syndrome? Was it imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
I had a perfect example. It hit me the other day.
Okay.
Perfect example was, this is no joke. Back whenever I met my wife, I didn't think I was the caliber. I didn't think I'd be the type of person that she'd ever consider in her life or whatever. I mean, I didn't think I was good enough. I might have walked around. I might have pranced around like I was, but I never thought I was. So whenever she had interest in me, and here we are 17 years later, 18 years later, things do work out. So that was my imposter syndrome right there. Meaning I didn't think I was it. Her and I ended up getting together and stuff, but I was still in that mindset that, dude, I'm not worthy. So,
yeah, dude, that's actually exactly how the interaction went whenever I met Victoria. Her and I met her. She was my best friend, or like one of my best friends from high school's roommate, girl, obviously. And she was like, "Well, I'm going to bring her to Ponca." And I met Victoria, and we were all hanging out as like our high school friend group. And there's one dude in there. He's one of my good friends still. In fact, Victoria and I went to dinner with him and his wife yesterday. But he was hitting on her, and he was like, I mean, he's big, jacked. I mean, if he really applied himself, probably could have gone to like the MLB or something, because he was a hell of a baseball player. I mean, just huge. And he's hitting her up, and I was like, well, there goes my chances. And they're really hitting it off, kind of thing, or at least pretend to. But they both were kind of trying hard, I feel like. But then I don't know, later that day, her and I just like kept talking. I was just like, I'm just gonna be myself. I don't care. I'm not even gonna put a front on. I'm no chance in barking up this tree. And then same kind of deal. I was like, I ain't got no chance to this guy, and sure enough.
So yeah, that was my example. Is that a good example of that?
Yeah.
Because she felt the same way too. I found out after the fact about me.
Isn't that wild? Yeah. And I feel like in marriage, you often have those things of like, man, the other person's doing so much and they're so good. And like, I just am not doing enough. And I don't know. There's a fine line in marriage there too, you know, of reassuring each other, but also pushing each other to
that's it.
better.
That's it. That's what drives me at times is thinking that I'm not good enough. Mm-hmm. So instead of me laying down and saying, fuck it, I ain't fucking good enough then, and not doing shit, it makes me keep pushing to be better, you know?
Yeah.
And provide more. So
there's a certain amount you definitely have to reassure each other that like, hey, you're doing a great job and I appreciate you, but also checking each other and pushing each other to get better.
Yeah.
And I think that both of those are necessary.
Well, that's what you and I do in our friendship too. I mean, I'll call you out on bullshit. You'll do the same with me.
Yeah.
But we're doing it because we love each other. We care about each other. But ultimately we want both of us to grow, whether it's in business or in life. So
yeah. Well, I mean, fine example. The other day, Victoria told me, she said, I'm going to do 75 hard after the new year. And I said, you're not going to bitch out on it then. I said, I'm going to do it with you. And guess what? I'm going to hold you to the fucking standard, man. I said, we're not gonna be cutting corners doing any bullshit like that. And I mean, that's obviously a little bit more extreme of an example, but even just stuff like gossiping and, you know, talking shit on people, like, you know, okay, everybody does that a little bit, right? But it gets to a point where you're like, hey, let's not do that. Let's be above that, you know?
Yeah.
It's you've always got to be pushing each other to be better individuals. And if you're not doing that, then it is time for whoever is listening, man or woman, and that's listening to this, to do that. And if you feel like your spouse is not, you know, to that standard, you've got to figure out how to motivate them to hit that standard. But also you've got to reassure them for what they're doing right.
Or even your friends and family too. Even if it ain't your spouse, you know.
Yeah.
Same type of mentality.
Yeah, your friends and family need that too. I mean, it's like, I mean, you've called me out hell on the show before, and I appreciate it, you know, and I've called you out, and that's how it should be, man. You know, we should be able to call each other out and not get, you know, people always say, well, I don't want to call someone out because they're going to get offended. Well, who the fuck cares? Yeah, they're going to get offended because you're calling them out.
If they respect you, dude, I respect you. If you call me out, I might have the initial, man, fuck you, James. But I respect you, so I'll take that to heart. And, you know, now if I don't respect you and you call me out, then, you know.
Well, even if you do respect someone too, but all they do is call you out, and all they do is try to, then you get desensitized to it. Then I'll start losing respect too. I mean, there's got to be a line.
It's
leadership capital, right? Have you heard that term? So leadership capital is like what you have in your bank account of leadership, right? So you have to put deposits in. You have to put in deposits into whoever it is, whether it's, you know, and this goes for employees too. Like if you're trying to uphold a standard at your company, this goes for your employees and your managers and who's around you. You have to put in leadership capital. You can't just sit here. It's like a bank account. If you're pushing someone or you're making someone do something that makes them uncomfortable, you're taking withdrawals. You're pulling that out. You're pulling that out. You're pulling that out. You have to put in capital before you can stop and you can pull that out. And you have to put in, you know, hey man, here's what you're doing right. Hey man, let me help you out with this. Hey, you know, I appreciate you for this. You know, you're putting in things to build that respect. And then when it comes time to call them out or ask them to do something that might be a stretch, or you're going to sit here and say, like, if some dude on the street came up to me and said, James, I think that you're stupid, I don't like you, and you're lazy. I'm going to go, okay, I don't know you. I don't know why you think that about me, but whatever. It doesn't really faze me at all. But if you say that to me, hey man, I think that you're being really fucking lazy, then I'm going to check myself and I'm going to go, shit. So that's where that comes from, right? So if you have to build that respect with that person, especially if they're new in your life or there's somebody that's been around a while, but they don't have that kind of respect, you have to earn that respect and gain that respect before you can make that withdrawal.
Yeah. I look at it the same way. I guess I could call it fuck up capital, to where you have to do 20 or 30 good deeds, whether it's at work or at home, whatever it is. You have to do 30 good deeds, just because whenever you fuck up that one time, although you've done 30 good ones, that one time is going to drop you back down to here again. So
Oh yeah.
Get that fuck up capital up there, man. That way, when you do fuck up, hopefully you're just back to baseline again. You can build again.
I like that, dude. One last story I want to tell, and then we got to wrap this up because we're guests on another podcast.
Hail chill.
More on that later. Somebody came up to me the other day and they said, I think you need to cuss less on your podcast. And I was like, what? Yeah, I listened to an episode and I didn't like the language. I was like, okay. And it's somebody I respect, somebody I've known a long time. But I was like, you obviously don't have, there's no leadership capital, with them to me. And it's like,
yeah,
it's not for you.
Yeah.
Right? It's not for you. This person is, again, a wonderful person. They're a school teacher. And they're like, well, what if a kid listens to your podcast? I'm like,
that's called life.
It's called life. This is a blue collar podcast.
Yeah.
This is a show for blue collar people, right? Now, if somebody that I really respected that owned a big company, or somebody that was like, I have a few close people that listen to the show that I really value their opinions. And if they said, hey man, you're out of line on this or that, I'm going to listen. You know what I mean? Or if you said, hey man, I think that we're going off the wayside on some of our shows. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about it. But whenever some random person comes up and says, hey, I don't like this, you can't just change. You can't just change, dude. This is us. This is us being the real us.
Yeah.
And if you have another image of me that's not this show, then this is who we are. At least is in our real life, real world situations.
Yeah, I'd like to think that we're not filtered. Yeah, sure, we filter out some stuff, but this is us just bullshitting. So
yeah, this is where we, in a world where you're always putting. You're always blending in,
Yeah, but if we start restricting ourselves, putting chains on what we're talking about and stuff, then it's not going to flow and it won't be authentic. It isn't us.
Yeah. And I want it to be us. And I think that's something that really threw me through a depressive loop for a while, is the fact that I was not being myself.
And guess what? My wife, my friends, my coworkers, we all talk like this. We all do.
Yes.
I mean, this is the community that I'm around. I don't have anyone. My wife, she'll talk just as stupid and nasty and dirty as you and I, bullshitting, as any of us. That's why I love her. That's why her and I are best friends. We get along so well. That's me. That's life. Now, the box that the teacher might live in, or somebody else, their life might not be that, and that's cool. Who are we to judge? But this is us.
Well, I hate it whenever people tell me that too, and and I'm not saying this.
Oh, you'll tell me the
like
name
that.
once we stop recording.
Well, I mean, but
write it down on a piece of paper.
I want to. Dang, he just threw off my whole train of thought. He's pointing
I've got a pen.
At me.
Here's a piece of paper. You do sign language? I can do sign language.
Yes.
Here, you got it, me. See that? There. Casey. You know what this is? Hey, watch this.
If you're not watching this interaction on YouTube.
Fuck you, bitch. And here. Then I learned this one. Fuck you, dickhead.
Can you do fuck you, bitch, you broke my heart?
Fuck you, bitch. You broke my heart. Or what's a heart?
This means this microphone's in the way. You know that one? Bullshit.
Is it?
Yeah.
Damn, that's a lot of work to say bullshit in sign language.
That's what I've been told. I don't know if that's actually it. But anyway, now I remember the point I was about to make, and we got to stop. Is you can't bring that to me too. if you, and this was not the person who said this, it was just somebody else who was relaying her message to me, or their message.
Okay, so it's a female and it's a teacher. And somebody, okay, I'm getting a picture here.
But I just want to say,
Red hair?
if you live a life that's not that, again, this is how my coworkers talk. This is how me and my boss talk. This is how my wife and I talk. This is how my buddies talk. And I'm heavily involved in church. I just want to say that. Like, I very much value my church community. It's the most solid group of people that I'm around. I lead a men's group. And these men, yes, we meet and we talk about stuff, but I'm also not fake around them. And we push each other to get better. And it's not like this, but we make crude jokes and we laugh and we say the F word sometimes and stuff like that in our men's group, but we push each other to get better. And we meet once a week, and it's one of the best hours. Well, usually it's like 2 hours because we can't shut up, but of our week, man. And it recharges us and gets us motivated and pushing forward and getting better. And I'm not going to censor that. I'm not going to sit here, and that's why we don't have sponsorships, is because I don't want people telling me, hey, we don't like that you're talking like this, or we don't like that you're saying this. And it's like the companies that want to hire Dirty and Driven, we're going to be professional as hell. We will be professional as fuck.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not going to walk into the CEO or the boss's office and be like, the fuck's up, Jim? But like, as you build that relationship, most of the time, it turns into, you start acting like buddies.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a guy, he's a CEO of a big construction company. And whenever I call him or he calls me, he answers the phone with, "What's up, gay boy?"
And gay in the context, it's happy boy. It's happy boy. I had to put that disclosure in there because,
dude, there's a guy worth hundreds of millions of dollars that I don't work with him directly, but one of our consulting clients, he works with him. He's building a project for him, and that's how they talk, dude. They'll literally answer the phone with like, "What's up, gay boy?" It's like that's the real world. And if you say that, what if a high school kid listens to it? You ever heard a high school kid talk? It'd make us blush.
Dude, I was listening to Eddie Murphy, Raw, and Eddie Murphy, can't remember the other one, and Andrew Dice Clay, The Day the Laughter Died, and all that stuff. Back when I was in junior high in high school, NWA in high school, all that stuff. That's life. It's probably even more prevalent now than it was back then with social media.
Yeah. I mean, it's the real stuff. And we want to bring real stuff. And that's something that people that listen to our show, I'm sure there's people that listen to our show that say, I'm never going to listen to this again. And that's fine. And they don't hit us up. They don't give us a 1-star review. They just say, this isn't for me. Dude, and that's great. Thank you. Thank you for that.
I was sneaking my dad's penthouses in Playboy, sneaking into his closet when I was in junior high, 7th or 8th grade. So to say that...
Yeah. What if a kid listens to this and it's like, there's some people that I'm like, your kid talks like this because I know your kid.
Yeah. If you're acting that way right now to us, I guarantee you your kids are cussing.
Well, but I don't want some kid to come on and and listen to us and hear the sunshine and rainbows beautifulness of the trades and be like, this sounds like a great place for me. And then they show up and they're like, damn, this is a dark place. Like, what the hell's going on here? Like, I want it to be to where they at least know and like we can make it fun and they go, damn, these guys are having a good time.
Yeah, there's a lot of love and camaraderie in the blue collar trades in construction. I mean, it just out in life in general, man. It's all good.
Well, hey guys, we got to wrap this thing up because Casey and I got our next appointment. So I just want to say thank you all for listening. Thank you to everybody who's been watching on YouTube. It's not a ton so far, but hey, we've only got a couple episodes up on YouTube, and we appreciate everybody who has taken their time to watch it on there. We appreciate everybody listening on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Remember, free ways you can support the show is just by giving us a 5-star review. Writing us a review. If you give us a written review, we really appreciate that on Apple Podcast. I don't think you can do a written review on Spotify. But anybody who leaves us a 5-star review on your favorite streaming platform helps us grow a lot. Sharing the show to your Instagram story helps us a lot. Following us on social media at Dirty and Driven. We've gotten a lot more followers. And like literally the last week, we've gotten a pretty good chunk of followers. So thank you to everybody who's new and just now started following us. And if this is your first time listening, thank you. If you want a free sticker, you can still do that. Just DM us or email us the word sticker. If you're still waiting on a free sticker, just know they're coming. I know I'm months behind on these things, but again, they're free. And if anybody ever gives us a tip and asks for a sticker, just know that you jump to the front of the line. So if you put $1, $2, $3, $20 in the tip jar, we appreciate you. You can do that in our link tree in our show notes below. Oh, I'm out of breath from all that fucking stuff right there.
Hey, and right now we're recording on a Veterans Day. This comes out the Tuesday after Veterans Day, but thanks to all the vets out there.
Yes, thank you to all the veterans. You know, dang, dude, why didn't... This is our Veterans Day special. We talked all about war and prepping and stuff, right?
See, there you go.
There you go. I didn't even realize it was Veterans Day. So, yes, thank you to all you veterans out there. We appreciate all of you. You guys are awesome. Guys, just remember that as you're training and you're prepping and you're doing this stuff, remember to intentionally go out and push yourself every single day. Do something, even if it's for 5 minutes, that is hard and challenging to you, gets your blood, your heart rate up, and gets you moving. All right, guys, get out there, do something hard today.
By God.